A lot of love.
Make sure we're not setting the tent on fire here. Oh no, we're good. We're good. Okay, lighting this incense. This incense represents the wafting of the aroma of our love for God and glory to all of God's creation, for the good of all, in order to glorify our great ones, creators. Share some activity for everyone. Honored guest Bill.
Not hardly.
Satchitananda. Satchitananda. Thank you. I was going to say something, but you did it all on your own. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. Namaste and Makesh Jayom Guru. We have more people today. It's going to keep growing. Get used to it. But it grows the way it's supposed to. Right? This is, for sincere souls. Right? So, not a lot of people at first. But they're coming.
Yep.
I assure you. So let's begin our Sunday service gathering with our Guru's voice, right? Chanting, right? About how God is in nature, right? And realizing God in nature and how God is in all kinds of people. And we can recognize God in everyone and everything that way. So let's start out with, oh God, beautiful, this call and response with our Guru. And let me get that started here. And then we'll do our opening prayer. I think. There we go. Okay.
Come, sing with me and feel you are singing to his listening presence right within you and around you, everywhere.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
At thy feet, oh, I do bow.
At thy feet, oh, I do bow.
Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful.
In the forest thou art green.
In the mountains thou art high. In the river thou art restless. In thy ocean thou art great. Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. beautiful.
To the serviceful, thou art service.
To the lover, thou art love. To the sorrowful, thou art sympathy. To the yogi, thou art bliss. Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God, beautiful.
In the forest thou art green.
In the mountains, thou art high. In the river, thou art restless.
In thy ocean thou art great.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God, beautiful.
To the serviceful thou art service.
To the lover, thou art love. To the sorrowful, thou art sympathy. To the yogi, thou art bliss. Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God, beautiful.
In the forest thou art green. In the mountains thou art high.
In the river, thou art restless.
In thy ocean thou art great.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God, beautiful.
To the serviceful thou art service.
To the lover, thou art love. To the sorrowful, thou art sympathy.
To the yogi thou art bliss.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Stay in this meditative posture with our hands in namaste, our eyes closed, with our attention at the point between our eyebrows for our opening prayer. Oh, my great and wondrous Creator, you are omnipresent. You are in all your children. Manifest your healing presence in our bodies for the good of all in order to glorify thee. So oh, my great and wondrous Creator, you are omnipresent. You are in all your children. Manifest your presence in our bodies and in our minds for the good of all in order to glorify you. So might it be. Oh, my great and wondrous Creator, you are omnipresent. You are in all your children. Manifest your healing presence in our bodies, in our minds, and in our souls for the good of all, only to glorify you, God. All the glory to you, so might it be. Thank you, God. Thank you for always listening to, hearing, answering all of our prayers. Even when the answer is no, we still thank you. Thank you for not giving us what wouldn't be good for us. And thank you for answering our greatest prayer, to send Guru to guide us home to you. Thank you, God, for sending Guru. Thank you, Guru, for guiding us. Now, today, all day, all tomorrows, and every instant, in sleep and in wakefulness, in life and in death, in this world and in the beyond, we will to remain yours always. So remain with us as the constantly, consciously responding joy of our hearts. And may your love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, that we may be able to awaken your love in all sleeping hearts and minds, for the good of all, only to glorify thee, all to thee, so let it be. Thank you, God. Love you. Now that we're a little more established in Source, that's first things first. Right? Next, what's going on with these energies of the day? What's going on around here today? It's the morning this time. So we actually get to do this, kind of starting the day. You guys have probably already done it, right? You guys already worked your calendars, and you guys probably got it all set up already. What's going on here? Let's see where we're at on the time. Okay. So what's today?
White Solar Wizard.
I'm impressed. That's good. The solar tone, right? The white wizard. We have this little group going where we're getting together and we're going over this calendar and we're actually reading the calendar every day in the morning at 8:15, right? 8:15. We read the tone and the frequencies together, and then we read from the workbook, right? So really on Sundays, all we do is just kind of read from the workbook. Don't want to spend a lot of time at this point. This is really kind of just for you guys who are actually working with it, right? Once we get a lot of people in here and everything, they might not really understand what we're doing when we're talking about the day here and why that belongs in our Sunday service, right? But it's part of our life, right? Getting in tune with these energies that are all around us. So it's really kind of important for us. So maybe someday everyone will be, it'll be common, right? For everyone to say, yeah, we got to know the energies of the day. What are we being in tune with today? Right? What is this white wizard thing all about? What is this solar tone? Solar tone of intention? See, that's what's good about the calendar. It's got it all right here. If you want to look up the tone, right? 3 key words: pulse, realize, and intention. I think that's how we know it's that solar tone of intention, right? If we kind of think about those 3 key words every day, we're just going to pick that up, right? Like Andy over here, right? And you can just say it. Say, what's today? I'll say solar tone of intention. With in alignment, right, with this idea of the wizard, right, or magic. When you think of a wizard, you think of magic, right? Harry Potter, you know, right? And magic wands and all that stuff, right? But this is real. We're talking about the real thing, right? That's TV, you know. And, you know, sometimes what we see on TV could actually be real, right? But it's, you know, TV doesn't really explain it very realistically, right? Because they're trying to entertain us. But there's something to it, right? Where did it come from, right? There's some truth to it. There's some truth in there, right? And so all these magical things, maybe that's true, right? Maybe magic is something we can get involved with, right? And as wizards, right? Real wizards, the Mayan way, that's real, not like make pretend, right? And so we have to learn all about what this so-called thing magic is, right? For real, not make pretend. Right? So, you know, Ish is guiding us to remember, right, that as divine children of God, magic is what we do. Magic is what we are. Magic is everything that's going on all around, right? Magic is everywhere all the time. It's already happening. We don't create magic. We don't make magic. Magic already is. And if we're wise wizards or magicians, then we would get in tune with magic, right? And be part of that magic instead of trying to do this thing called make magic or create magic, right? We're not talking about pulling a rabbit out of a hat. We're talking about the magic of your breathing, right? The magic of, you know, do you ever get hungry? Mm-hmm. Where does this food come from? It's like magic, right? It's already there. And Ish reminds us that as wise wizards, we don't try to make magic. We try to get in tune with the magic that's already happening all around us. Right? So, let's take a quick read here from our workbook where we've combined the tone, this solar tone of intention, with this, the galactic tone of intention. Somebody correct me.
No, solar tone.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I got messed up and wrote galactic today.
Yeah.
So I just fixed it.
Right, these words can trick you.
Yeah.
Can't they? You got it. Yeah. Even today, I still have to double check my affirmation. Double check, right? Because I could have slid my finger wrong on the chart. You know, it happens. So let's get right to today's galactic signature, which is Kin 74, White Solar Wizard, Bolanish. Right? And you could have said Bolanish. Would have been the same thing. Right? Of course, then only we know what he's talking about, right? After harmonizing the galactic tone of integrity comes the solar tone of intention. White Solar Wizard Bolanish guides and teaches us to be the transparent wizards who allow so-called magic to be effortlessly created through us in order to intentionally determine our truest motivations and our highest aspirations. Intention is the power that precedes and supports all manifestation. Never underestimate the power of focused intention in harnessing momentum. White Solar Wizard Bolanish reminds us to intentionally focus on being receptive to nonlinear, now-centered radial time. White Solar Wizard Bolanish also encourages us to expand our field of play by accepting and embracing the natural mystery of life's unfolding as an enchanting adventure. As we intentionally determine our truest motivations and our highest aspirations, we begin to realize that the key to actualization is an intentional willingness to mentally and physically mobilize in conjunction with the steady pulsing out of intelligent vibrational energetic information. The cauldron of creation is inviting us to intentionally mobilize toward our highest aspirations in order to intentionally open metaphysical doors of limitless possibilities. The cauldron of creation is encouraging us to clarify our highest ideals and truest motivations, and then to send intelligent vibrational energy out into the ethers, both through physical effort and through energetically transmitting our will and desires out into the greater web of existence. Then, after intentionally setting conscious aim, we are encouraged to surrender our ego's need to control and release our attachments to future outcomes. We are the ones who set things in motion, activating the power of inertia to bring forth essential circulation, thus turning the wheels of receptivity. Right? We keep it going by keeping on going. Right? We're pulsing out that intention. Right? That's what this energy is about today. Right? We want that energy to go out there and actually reach others. Right? So we may have to intend for that to happen. Right? What if we're thinking, oh, no one is going to understand me? No one gets me. Okay. How go those thoughts? When you just think it, it's going out there. Once you say it, now you like put rocket engines on it. Okay? And drilled it into the into the collective consciousness with your words, right? And then when you really put your feeling into it, it starts getting really powerful, right? Just a casual thought, right? But then you might say it. It gains more power. You keep thinking and saying it, you're pulsing that intention out. You're continuously pulsing it out, pulsing it out. It's going to manifest, most likely, right? Well, we shouldn't be surprised if it does, because that's what we are. That's what we do, right? We're that being, right? That our thoughts are creating. And we can do it intentionally. We might want to, right? Wouldn't that be wise? Intentionally. Right? We're going to have to catch our thoughts, catch ourselves, our self-talk and things like that. Right? If we think that we are great, then we will be. If we're not now, we will be. Right? Because you got to keep pulsing that intention out there. This is that one tone before manifestation. That's the last step. And then it's going to manifest. Right? If we've been watching these steps all along, we've been created. It's the recipe for creation of how these glasses came into being. Right? First somebody had an intention. Right? A purpose, right? Somebody had to, there was a purpose, right? I can't see. Well, now we're going to attract the purpose, right? And it goes from there, step by step, all the way until finally that intention is so powerful. It becomes, manifests. So that's the day. That's what we're playing Match Game with today. Any questions about it? Any comments? Any concerns?
As you're talking, two things. The magicians, the reference to being magic, and then intentions. It's like I relate that back to the thing that comes to my mind is energy. And knowledge and wisdom, and the universe is already there. It was created instantly, and all knowledge and information has always been there. Mm-hmm. Is the magical reference? I guess I'm wondering about the magical reference and the wisdom and intention. It's the ability to open the door to all that wisdom and then somehow be able to use it. That's what, to me, I'm translating in my mind. That's where the magic comes from. That's how it's already there. Everything is there.
Open the door of ourself and let it flow through us.
Okay, that's kind of what I was trying to
exactly what you're saying.
pull together, because
we don't have to create the magic.
It's there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
And if we get in tune with it, it will flow through us effortlessly, naturally.
I've gotten to the point, intellectually, I would say, that's what I believe. It's the reason why things happened all over the earth and throughout the universe all at the same time. It was there. Mm-hmm. And then
absolutely,
human beings, life, somebody was able to draw from it at the same time from everywhere, and they did it in their own cultural way, and it showed up differently, but it's all the same.
Yes.
And so now it's like I've gotten that far, but I am definitely, I'm not at depth. I have no clue how to, it's like how to get there.
It'll take some time.
Yeah.
Remember Christ?
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
13 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And, we could call Christ a magician, couldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of so-called magic, right? And he must have known how to open himself and allow it to flow through him. Because we just learned, right? You don't make magic. No one makes magic. have to be able to get in tune with it in such a way that it can flow through you. If you're not in harmony with the magic of this universe, how is it going to flow through you? Very uncomfortably. It is. Okay, it'll flow through you. It will flow through you. It's going to flow.
Encountering a lot of resistance.
Exactly. And if you can remove all that resistance, there'll be no friction. Right? Friction gets hot after a while. Right? We don't want the friction. Right? So get in tune with it, flow with it, go with it. Right? Don't just be a dead fish, okay, flowing downstream, okay? But at the same time, you know, that's what we have this developing of the intuition thing going on for. When do you fight the current? When do you just sit back and go with the flow? How do you know which one to do? When, you know, how do you know if you're just going with the flow, you're not just quitting?
It's hard sometimes to because there's always the good and the evil connections that are, whether you call that going against the flow or going with the flow or whatever you want to say, is every decision. And then it seems like sometimes out of nowhere comes a thought that says you need to do this. And what the question is whether or not I comprehend what that really is and then act on it. You know, and
Intuition then, right?
intuition is it's very intuitive.
Only through intuition can we know the answer to that question. Only with developed intuition are we going to know when to keep pushing and when to surrender to the will of God. When, you know, are we just giving up and quitting and God saying, come on, you can do this, right? That means we got to have a developed intuition to hear God, right? To be in tune with God, our source. It's kind of like, you know, that's the ultimate attunement, right? Let's first start, we want to get in tune with nature around us first, right? Because here's where we are, right? And then that will lead us and show us how we can then be in tune with our source, because it's the same thing and it's just taking it a little bit further. So we can practice right here, right? We're practicing getting in tune with all of these energies, all of this, everything that's going on. Practicing letting go and releasing our need for control, right? The outcome of everything has to be just right, right? Well, the universe will help you with that. It'll help you get over that by constantly messing up everything you do. Okay? Until you're okay with it now, finally. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then watch, the universe will stop messing everything up on you. And only every once in a while test you. Yes, Bill.
The universe brings you opportunities. And the question is
That's
whether
the way to see it.
whether or not you see that and take advantage of that particular opportunity. And it's surprising where it comes from. And I am struck this moment because I visited my doctor in Pittsburgh on the way here. I try to see her at least once a year. And I learn things. But I met her son, they're in their 30s, and his wife. And he found his wife in South Africa. She is a beautiful black girl. And she was extremely quiet. She wasn't talking. I'd never met him or his wife until that I had dinner with them. I started talking to her, and she started we were talking about family and upbringing, what we believe in. I got an entire education from a beautiful young girl talking about what in Africa and where she was born, what family is. And she doesn't call it extended family of cousins and grandmas and grandpas. It is family.
Mm-hmm.
It's all family.
Mm-hmm.
And
extended family. In
no,
Africa, right?
and it's like, that's the way the world should be. It's all living things. But I never had a clue. Okay, and so this young lady in her early 30s is teaching me about this, and I was just amazed of the coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence either. You know,
It was a coincidence.
it was.
It was an
a
incident
coincidence.
between you and your creator. A
It's
coincidence.
it's a coincidence that I actually listened and and asked a couple. That's the thing. But that's how I think this happens. Is these things are brought into your life, and the only question is, how do you listen to it and take it in? And then, for me, is, oh my goodness, now how can I use this? How can I improve? What do I need to do different?
One thing that might help, right, is you said things that are coming into your life or that you're bringing into your life, right? We read it today in here in the book. What if we kind of changed our self-talk, our way of saying that, and say, bringing into the, what was the wording for it today? Jeez, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it now. But into the flow of our life, right? Into the play, into the flow of our play, right? Not just our life, our play, right?
What is it
That's what
that
it
God
said
wants
today.
us to do?
To do, right? Yeah, right? There's this natural flow going on. Yes.
It's like, in my head, it keeps coming back that there's a purpose, that something has happened. There's a purpose. I'm supposed to do something, and it's not clear to me what that is at all. But it just says in my mind there's some purpose, intention. That I'm supposed to play out something, which I don't know what it is yet. But it's like I can't get it out. I can't get that thought out of my mind. It won't go away. Even if I try to make it go away, it's not going away.
Well, it's kind of like in the Mayan Oracle, it says, be the hound dog. Sniff down the trails.
Oh, okay.
Find out.
Be present so we don't miss
Right.
it when it comes.
Yeah.
Sniff it out.
Yeah.
Look for it. Search for it. Dig it up. Right? That hound dog's always
Sniffing around.
right. Find it. Oh, you can smell it a mile. He knows right there it is over there. Right? Let's try to, be that divine hound dog. Right? Sniffing out spirit.
I'm going to be a patient hound dog, I guess, because that's what it's going to take. And don't get upset if I don't know tomorrow what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, as I said before, patience is really the key to all of this. We're all doing a lot better than we think we are. Okay? As long as you're trying, really, you're doing a lot better than you think you are. And, it's those ones who care the most that think they're not doing, they think they're doing the worst. Right? They're probably doing the best. This is what I keep seeing. Right? People so concerned, they're so concerned. I'm like, what? Just take a break so we can catch up with you. Okay? All right? Because they're really going quickly. Because they really care about it. They're really concerned about it. It means something to them. It's important. So, wow, 10 o'clock. Maybe we should probably turn our attention to our Guru's teachings now. Our Guru's message, I should say. We've been talking about Guru's teachings all day. But how about Guru's message for this week, right? This week, Guru has, as always, a wonderful, amazing message for us this week. This week, Guru's actually talking to us about making our mind a temple of God. Right? That's what we really want, whether we know it or not. Now, Guru guides us and he explains to us, right, in the lessons in his books and all of his talks and everything. He tells us that, you know, changing our thoughts is what we're going to need to do if we would change our circumstances, you know, our life, the circumstances of our life. Since we alone are responsible for what goes on in our minds, right? Only we can change our thoughts, right? And brothers and sisters, you will want to change your thoughts when you realize that each thought creates according to its nature, right? Always remember that this law is working at all times, right? Our words and our actions are actually continually demonstrating the kind of thoughts we habitually entertain, right? You see, the silkworm spins these silken threads around itself, forming a cocoon. But before it slips out of the cocoon, often, right, before it comes out of that cocoon and becomes a moth, well, the silkman comes along, takes that silk, and then the moth meets with death in that silken prison created by its own self. Right? It's very beautiful. It's silk. Right? And Guru explains that us human beings, we do the same thing. Right? Before the wings of spirituality have grown, we weave threads of fear and worry and ignorance all around ourselves. Until finally disease and death come. Right? Like the silk man, right? And we're done, right? And we find ourselves in that self-created bondage, right? And what brings this destruction? Well, brothers and sisters, it's hard to accept it, but it's our own thoughts that do it. Our own wrong ways of living, right? And you know, acting without first thinking, right? We must resurrect ourselves from these deadly anger thoughts, from stifling selfishness, and from the clamor of inharmonious living, right? It's no good. If we could but realize the effect of the burdens that we're placing on our mind, well, we might stop and wonder, well, why we haven't had a complete breakdown, or how we haven't had a complete breakdown already, right? With all this that's going on, right? Taxed with all kinds of worries and anxieties, the mind is soon overwhelmed by that load, right, of fear and anger that creeps in. And then we lose our mental poise and our spiritual balance, right? You see, the trouble is, instead of living only in the present, the here and the now, well, we're trying to live in the past and in the future at the same time, right? And now that's too heavy of a load for the mind to carry, right? So we would be wise to restrict the amount of the load, right? The past is gone. Why continue to carry it in the mind, right? You know, we can Just let the mind take care of its burdens one at a time. Right? You see, a swan eats only the solid content from the liquid it scoops up in its bill. Right? Similarly, we should keep in mind only the lessons that we have learned from the past and forget the unnecessary details. And this will relieve the mind to a great extent. And it will help eliminate worries. Right? Worries, well, they can be compared to an insect that eats away at the inside of a flower. When the petals of the flower close in on it, both the flower and the insect die. Right? You see, brothers and sisters, worry consumes all of our inner vitality without our conscious knowledge. We don't realize it's happening, right? Usually by the time we wake up and realize what's happening, right, the damage is usually, it's probably already done. And that may have some far-reaching effects on our nervous system, right? The damage may already be done, right? You know, not only individual calamities, but world calamities are occasioned by the sum total of multitudinous wrong human thoughts. Right? Thoughts are like words. We were talking about it earlier, right? You know, they send out a vibration, good or bad, according to the caliber of the thought. Right? Good vibrations, bad vibrations, right? And every event in nature is the outcome of the cumulative thoughts of creation. Right? We might, it would be helpful to realize that. We might want to watch our thoughts because we're all linked together and bound up in a common fate here. Right? Our thoughts not only affect our own lives, don't they actually help to bind or liberate the whole world around us, the world at large even, right? You see, I mentioned it earlier, we're hungry, right? And then we find all the forces of nature, the earth, the sun, the wind, the water, everything's working together to make sure we got food, right? That's not an accident, right? And the more spiritually civilized we become, the more we will be in control of nature. The more nature will be controlled. You see, when the master of the house civilization sleeps, well, the servant nature rebels. Right? And the victims of these worldly disasters, they very much do deserve our universal sympathy. Right? As a world race, we are all responsible for it. And we should help our brothers and sisters that are in disaster, just as we ourselves, right, would welcome such help if we were in a calamity or disaster, right? Thomas A. Kempis once said, pointing out a condemned criminal, right? He said, "There, but for the grace of God, goes myself." Right? Now, brothers and sisters, isn't that true? Well, from a certain standpoint, it's true, right? But from a universal standpoint, where we like to look from, right? We could say that of every person, right? Everyone. There goes another one of myself. Another one of me, right? I'm another you. In Lak'ech, right? You see, we are not the creatures of this universe. We're the creators of the universe. Our thoughts and deeds have contributed throughout the ages of the making of tidal waves, forest fires, volcanic upheavals, right? Just as much as we're creating spiritual giants, right? Pure-hearted children. And those beautiful soft petals of flowers, right? People may lead their lives so thoughts dwell chiefly on matter or on thoughts, right? Or on pure consciousness, which is beyond thought, right? We can dwell on that if we want, right? Now, under a predominantly material standard of living, the higher joys and sorrows of existence are denied to us. And when that standard shifts from matter to consciousness, then the higher life begins to finally evolve with all of its attendant happiness and joy. Right? So therefore, brothers and sisters, Guru reminds us to live in ideal thoughts, right? Watch our thoughts. And then, well, shape our activities according to our higher thoughts, instead of allowing ourselves to be pushed haphazardly in all directions by the impulses of life, right? Without any definite or substantial goal, right? Guru reminds us to try to gain complete control of our thoughts, no matter what's happening, right? Remember, your thoughts unerringly make your life, or they break your life, right? You are the creator. You're the preserver and the transformer of your own life, right? And your will is the director. And never forget that you are the director of your will, right? All things, all conditions, all time, all mental qualities, all of these emotions, right? They're just temporal belongings, right? That we have acquired them, right? Now, we ourselves alone, right? This soul in here, this self in here, that's the enduring one. That soul in here. You. The real you, right? And now, well, you can stimulate right reason and increase your mental power in the following ways. Get out your notebooks. Guru says one way that we can stimulate right reason and increase our mental power, right, is to read good books, right? And then carefully digest their message. Don't just breeze through it cover to cover, right? And Guru says, well, if you're going to read, well, let's say you read, right? He says you should read for 1 hour, right? And then to write about that for 2 hours. And then reflect on that for 3 hours, right? Really carefully digesting what you're reading, right? Of the good books, right? Another thing Guru says that we can do, right, is we can occupy our mind with inspiring ideas, right? Let's not waste our time in negative thinking, right? You don't want to do that, right? Another thing we can do is we can adopt the best plan for our life that we can formulate through the exercise of reason, right? Let's think and reason our best life possible, right? Another thing we can do, well, we can study the law of mind that is outlined in our Guru's sacred teachings, right? That would be probably most helpful, studying Guru's teachings, right? That will surely and positively help stimulate right reason and increase our mental powers. That's what we want to do, right? Another thing we can do, we can use some selections from Guru's scientific healing affirmations and some of his other readings too. Daily diary, right? Whispers from eternity, right? But if you're going to use these affirmations, right, you want to utter these affirmations with soul force, right? If we're going to use these scientific healing affirmations, we have to say it like we mean it, like we're talking from our soul, from our heart, right? Right? Ancient and modern psychologists have pointed out, right, that the innate intelligence of people is capable of infinite expansion. That's the truth. We can do that if we do it right, if we say it like we mean it, right? Another thing we can do to create good reasoning and stimulate our power, well, we could obey these social and moral laws, right? Seeing them as controlled by a higher spiritual law, right? Now, following these lesser laws, eventually we will rise above those limitations of those lesser laws and be guided wholly and completely and only by spiritual laws, right? That's where we really want to be, whether you know it or not. You know, why should we circumscribe ourselves, right, with the walls of, well, just a little family, just a couple people, right? And then forget our eternal link between ourselves and this family of the cosmos. We're shortchanging ourselves, right? It is our source, our God, our Creator that is just behind all things, right? Right? God is what gives every living thing life, right? Behind the moon is the greater moon of our source. Behind the sun is the vitality of God. And behind all these faces and people we see is the divine intelligence, right? It's in there. So why should we limit ourselves, right? We don't want to be limited. We want to be free, right? Brothers and sisters, our Guru's advice is to just put your mind on God, right? And gradually we will receive little glimpses of light. Let's make a habit of putting our mind on God. And in time, we will feel ourselves in every atom of space. And then our joy will literally be boundless, because joy and God are one. Joy is the healing that we want first, right? The healing of the ignorance of the sun, right? That's what we want first, right? You see, brothers and sisters, it's a hard truth, but you know, someday we're going to have to dump this physical body in the dust, right? At some point, it's going to go, right? So we would be wise to start thinking of spirit now, right? No matter where you turn the compass, the needle always turns toward the North Pole, right? Unless it's broken. So, no matter what our body is going through, the needle of our mind should always be on God, right? Always on our source. And eventually, then we will realize right in here the presence of the imperishable one, right? We will realize then that our responsibility lies not only to our little family, right, and to this world of worldly things, But most of all, right, our most important responsibility, right, it is to our source. It's to God, right? Well, that's because the self must redeem the self, right? It's just source taking care of source, right? All the great masters have demonstrated that they have found the existence of the self beyond the destruction of the body. So brothers and sisters, keep your mind on God, right? Let's keep practicing that. Let's not forget God, right? Let's not fight against God, right? Doesn't that sound funny? Fighting against God? How are you going to win against fighting against God? How about if instead we fight ignorance? Right? Let's make our mind a temple of God. Right? We can do that. And then we will find God in that temple. Right? The temple of our mind. Right? And then we will be one with the sustainer of the universe. Right? And then we can say with full trust in here, our Creator and I are one. Right? That's what we really want. Right? Good advice from our Guru. Right? How to make our mind a temple for God. Not just go make your mind a temple for God. Go on, hurry up. Guru tells us how. Right? And doesn't just tell us how. Guru lived it. Right? And we can look in his book, Sayings of Paramahansa Yogananda, and find some examples, right, of real life examples that he went through, right, to help us actually be able to make our mind a fit temple to receive our source, right? Not just say, go do it, right? One time Guru he was talking with a group of disciples, and they all are very much, they look like they're paying very close attention to it, right? But one of them had allowed their thoughts to stray, right? And when the time came, at the end to say goodnight, Guru said to this guy, he said, your mind is like a horse, right? It's good to tie it up once in a while, lest it runs away. Right? Right? We trust in God, but we tie up our camels, right? Right? We want to get control of our mind. And we may need to, the mind can be like a wild steed, right? You may need to tie it down. Get some control, right? Once two students came to the Mount Washington Center for Training in California. And oh boy, the devotees there really were quite impressed with these guys, right? And after a short while, they left, those new students. They just took off. And after they left, Guru said to the Hermitage, he said, you guys were pretty impressed with their actions, but I was watching their thoughts. He said, outwardly they were following all the rules, but inwardly they were running wild. He said, good conduct will not last long if one does not actually adopt proper means to purify the mind. Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we want to develop our mind into a temple of God, sounds like Guru's saying here, we're going to have to get control of our mind. Right? And we may have to develop our mind. Right? What does that mean? Purify it. Strengthen it. For it to be a fit temple for our source to come into fully, more source. Right? that we can realize. One time, Master told a group of disciples to avoid a negative approach to life. Why gaze down into the sewers when there's loveliness all around you? Right? One may find some fault even in the greatest masterpiece of art, music, or literature. But isn't it better to enjoy their charm and their glory? Right? Life has a bright side and a dark side. Right? Because we're in the world of relativity. It's composed of light and shadows. Right? And if we permit our mind to, dwell on evil and darkness, then we become ugly. Right? Guru reminds us to look only for the good in everything, in everyone, everywhere, all the time. And that way, we will absorb the quality of beauty and good. Simple common sense, right? Simple words from our Guru, right? So let's share just real quick, some wonderful words from Whispers from Eternity. Let's talk with God from our heart, like a prayer. I valiantly struggle towards thee. Who is thee? God is thee. O eternal Polaris, wherever I roam, the magnetic needle of my mind compass ever and always points to thee. Buffeted by gusts of change, or drenched by rains, I nevertheless direct my mind to look always toward thee, Lord. The dove of my love, winging through clouds of bewilderment and storms of distractions and whirlwinds of destiny, yet will infallibly discover the way to thee, Lord. Thank you, God. I love you. Thank you, God, for loving me too. Wonderful words from our Whispers from Eternity. Can you feel Guru talking to you in these words? Guru says, read my Whispers from Eternity. Through it, I will talk to you eternally. So, whoa, how are we doing? Oh, looks like we're coming near the time for the end of our little gathering here.
Can I make a quick comment?
Absolutely, that's what we're here for.
All right. Well, I just love the synchronicity, and I look over at Guru's picture, and it's like he's giving me a little like, see, I told you, There's a sermon I like to listen to each week. It's from a non-denominational church called Change Church, and the sermon this past week was this exact same message. It was about, changing your mind to change your life. And, and the thing that they ended with was be a living example. How do you prove, that this works? How do you prove that changing your mind is the way to live the kingdom life, right? And it's like, just do it and be the example, That's the proof right there. And we have that in Guru and in Christ and, these other saints and sages. And, it's just, I love it, And now there was guidance from the sermon and there's guidance from Guru. It's like, okay, well, I get the message. Thank you. I gotta do this.
Really, it's the universe talking to
It
you.
is, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're in tune, it doesn't matter where you look.
Yeah.
Universe is speaking to you. Your source is speaking to you all the time.
Yeah.
In every breeze, in every sound, everywhere.
Yeah.
even when you step on a bug and it goes crunch, right? Everything
Yeah.
is source, right? And if we remember that, then our life becomes this beautiful harmony.
Yeah.
It's when we forget that and get tangled up in this dream drama, right, that everything starts getting out of balance.
Yeah. I get upset. This morning I was like, God, I feel like I'm always late. And then this is the day of intention, and it's great that message came, because like, okay, I got to change my mind about that.
That's all you got to
That's
change
it.
about it.
Yeah.
That's all. Everyone's out there working so hard to change all this stuff in their life. If they only just knew, all you got to do is change your mind. Just change your mind.
Yeah.
And it will change. Now, maybe not tomorrow morning. Okay?
Might take a
Don't
little bit
give
longer.
up, right? Don't give up after a minute of trying, right?
Mhm.
We have to keep pulsing that intention out, right? Keep sending it out until it manifests, right? How does Guru say it? Keep our consciousness revolving around an idea until it comes into fruition.
Right. The heart doesn't beat just once and make a whole life.
Exactly. And so, good advice from our Guru. And good advice from the universe, because obviously it's coming to you from every direction.
Yeah.
And when you're, like we said, when you're in tune with Source, Source will talk with you. Not maybe like I'm talking right now, but something will happen. A book will fall off the shelf, right? Someone strange will show up with something strange, and it'll all fall into place. If we allow that to happen, if we be real magicians and allow magic to flow through us, as opposed to pseudo magicians struggling, trying to make magic happen.
Heaven is right here, right now.
It
You
is.
just have to.
So is hell, though.
Right.
You can, but you can choose consciously.
What do you choose?
What do you choose?
And as Guru was talking, what is your habit of choosing? If you're habitually choosing the darkness, then yes, you live in darkness. You chose it. Don't choose it. Right? That might, if it's a habit, we're going to want this little book. This is the habit busting book, right? Look how big this book is. All habits gone, right? This one little book right here. Doesn't matter if it's a smoking habit, a swearing habit, a anger habit, a habit of nervousness or restlessness, whatever the habit. There's an affirmation in here for that one, right? Always thinking negative, right, and stuff. It's all in here. All in here. The instructions on how to do it is in here. And even a whole bunch of example affirmations for all different kinds of things. It's all in this one little tiny, teensy, tiny book. Right? You guys already have it. And you use it all the time. God bless you. That's why your lives are doing what they're doing right now. Look at Andy. Andy, stay on the ground. Stay with us now.
God, if
I can move my feet out of the way.
sometimes when I look at myself, I don't see myself going in depth on a lot of things right now, and I haven't most of my life. But just referring to the book right now, the way I think about it is, I have a bad habit. I need to insert a good behavior in place of that, and that's what Yogananda said in many essays that he's written. Is that's it, and no one else controls that. I am ultimately the one that makes those decisions, and I can't blame you or the book or the weather or any other person. I have to take responsibility for everything that happens in my life, good or bad or other. And the universe is definitely, it's always there telling you. The last 3 days, I read one of my AA books. It says, yesterday is gone, forget it. Tomorrow has that happened, don't worry about it. Live today in the presence.
Is that the language of letting go?
That's exactly, and so it
Know
comes
that
to
book.
it comes to you.
Everyone should read it.
It comes to you from every direction, and the question is, am I willing to listen? And then not only willing to listen, but am I willing to commit to implementing something and have a new intention
is.
for improvement?
Right.
It's
Guru
Think-
said follow it up with action. Didn't
yeah, right. Because if I think back about my life, and I do at this point, I think about the things that came in, and when I didn't act in the direction that maybe God wanted me to go, but I think He was teaching me a lesson, and because I wasn't ready to go in the direction that He said, you have more of a story to live. Okay, and I used to be mad at myself about all of that. I'm no longer mad. I accept that, you know what, that's just what it took. It taught me a lesson, and sometimes that lesson that I learned, that I was introduced to 50 years ago, is now coming back and say, oh, that's what I was supposed to learn. I need to adopt this new thing. And so it's amazing. I was going to say it's weird, but it's really amazing how all of this has come together. And it's all been in the last, for me, it's been going on for over 74 years. But it's in the last 3 years, these major shifts in people that I've met, present company included, what my daughter said to me one day when I was working here 3 years ago. All of these things have been pulling together this life of experience to redirect it. Okay, I still don't know what that real direction is, but it's starting to make some sense. And so
It's
I'm
part
very
of the
appreciative.
adventure,
Yeah,
Right.
it's a great adventure.
You wouldn't want to know.
Yep. No.
Right? You don't want to know.
Nope, it'll happen on its own. It'll happen the way it's supposed to happen.
We don't want to know the future.
No.
That's living in the future. Right? You got to be here. You got to be now. Or we're going to suffer.
Is it, if you live more in the present, to me, the things that are supposed to happen will probably happen without me even knowing it. It's just because you'll be you're living in the present, you're making the decision.
Living in the
present.
present, you'll wake up one day and say, oh my God, it's 100 years went by.
Yeah.
I've just been right here in 100 years. It's just gone now. Right? And you're just right here. Right? Nothing changes. Like is in you, right? You're just this bliss that just keeps plodding along, and the next thing you know, 100 years is gone. Another 100 years could go again, just like that. Right? We've heard about those ones that lived hundreds of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it must be how Babaji feels.
Right? We want to try to feel like how Babaji feels, right? There's really just no point in dying because I'm already here. I'm already there. Where am I going? To heaven? I'm already there. You see, I decided a long time ago I'm going home. And then I just really went into that for about a year. I said, I'm going home. I don't like about it because I wanted to go home. And then I finally realized I don't have to go anywhere. I'm already home. I never left home. Holy crap. I'm going through all this struggle and all this work and doing all this stuff, and I don't have to do a thing. Right? Except stop, look, listen, pay attention, feel. Right? And then see what is called for next. Right? I mean, if there's a bee stinging your knee, you know, what's the next thing? Off my knee. You know, don't sting me. Right? It's just the next thing. Right? You're thirsty, the next thing is get a glass of water. So I have to do it though, right? A glass of water is not just going to come floating along. You know, you can pray all day for it. Okay, now if you pray, the glass of water still may show up. Someone will probably come through that door and hand you a glass of water while you're praying for it. You should play with that, practice with that, try living like that. Just saying, I'm not going to go chasing after that thing. Start getting this idea that everything must chase you. Right? Everything is like running along behind you, just trying to catch up with you. Trying to keep up with you. Right? Because you are going forward. Right? There's no hesitation in you. You know where you're going. That's where we want to be. That's that inner knowing. We know we're going in the right direction, full steam ahead. Bill pointed out something. He said this is happening fast. Just the past few years. So big changes. Right? God doesn't mess around. Right? Once you start doing this stuff with God, God is quick. Instant even. Okay? Instant. Right? You guys are changing fast. Almost too fast. You don't want it to be too fast. The world, right, is coming. Don't worry. Everything is on its perfect timing. We're not behind schedule at all. It's okay. I think we were talking about it yesterday, about being comfortable with the unknown. You don't know where you're going, and that's fine. Right? Being okay with fluid reference points, right? Oh, it used to be here. Well, it moved, right? That reference point that you always counted on was right there, right there. Nope, they moved. That's reality, right? That's the reality of the world, right? Everything you thought was set in this way, it changed. Maybe after 20 years, where when you got real good and used to it, that's when it says, oh, here, chewing. Upside down now, And the test is, are you okay? You all right with that? Right? And if you are, remember how I said earlier, once you pass the test, the universe isn't going to keep sending you the test. Daily like that, all the time. But you will get an occasional, maybe a reminder test or one of those little tests to make sure you didn't forget. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you forgot, guess what? It's on again. Universe is going to start sending those lessons again if you forgot those lessons.
I think that it's like the body, the temple, this amazing system that we are given, and how capable it is for recovery. And I think that as I look back at the things that were, I thought at the time, devastating, health-wise, and or painful and all these. It was just teaching me how amazingly fortunate I am to have this system that can heal itself. Sometimes it needs help, but you can heal. And all it says to me is there's a greater healing power yet that I don't know how, I haven't accessed, but it's there.
You're in the process of accessing.
And I believe that now.
You're accessing it.
Where I didn't before. And
Today's a good day for that.
what?
Today's a good day for that with
Yeah.
the solar wizard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it all has become much more amazing and more grateful that I'm at least at this position to be feeling different than what I used to.
Your life is becoming magical.
Yeah, I would say that's absolutely true.
That's what we want, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, you'll be that example for others that are struggling out in the world. As your lives become more and more magical, people are going to wonder, how are you doing that? Why? Why is your life so magical and my life so crappy? Eventually they may ask, right? That's the time, right? When they ask, then they're starting to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not asking, they're not ready, no point. I like to keep it shining out there. We hold the light high for those to come to it. We don't go chasing them with the light. Right?
Yeah.
They will only run, okay, if we chase them with the light, okay?
Like gremlins.
But when they see that glowing beauty over there, they're gonna want that. And right, we're in the process of developing that stuff.
It's all energy. If you put out negative energy, you get negative energy back.
Mm-hmm.
If you put out positive energy, and you get it back, and you're surrounded by positive people.
Unavoidable side effects.
Yeah, and all it does makes it better, or worse, depending on which way you decide.
Depending
to
on
go.
the caliber of the thought.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Depending on the caliber of the feeling, right, that's going out.
I joined a book club with the people, the yoga teachers, and where I took my training and everything. Tonight at 10 o'clock, I have, because they live in Hawaii, and we're doing a Zoom meeting at 10 to review the book. The book is called Live Wired. It's about the brain and the capacity of the brain, and what they're only now beginning to understand, how amazingly much more capable it is.
Are they finally starting to catch up with the ancient rishis?
I think that's really what it's about, and so I'm interested in what the discussion will be from everybody else, and how it gives me hope. The book gave me hope because we're challenged by all this global technology and negative, but we have been given this amazing body and all the elements, including the brain, that is so much more powerful than anybody ever imagined it to be.
That's true.
And so I'm if I can stay awake, and I probably will,
It sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like you'd stay awake for that,
Yeah.
for all the way through that, because they're talking,
it's like, but this is perfect timing. I came to New York at the right time.
Of course, because you're in harmony with the universe.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in harmony, everything's going to be, you're going to be saying that a lot. It's perfect timing, perfect timing. So, hey, how about we wrap up with our closing prayer, our closing hymn? We can still, I'm not saying let's stop talking. We can still keep talking and maybe do some energy healing or whatever we want to do. Share some snacks. I got lots of snacks here. So what we want to do is get into our comfortable meditative posture. We're going to do a little prayer, and a little hymn, song, mantra, chanting. Let's close our eyes, put our attention at the point between our eyebrows, that Christ consciousness center, bringing our hands into namaste in front of our heart chakra, connecting our center of love and compassion with our center of all knowingness, speaking to God in the language of our hearts. Oh, my great and wondrous Creator, we are sending our voice to you this beautiful day, giving you thanks for our lives. We are the new people you have dreamed of so long ago. We've come stumbling here, seeking to find our way into the new. As we continue our exploration, we look to the past and honor our mothers and fathers, our grandfathers and grandmothers, who went before us and who made all these things and who made our lives. We come before you today, neither women nor men, but souls, spirits, bearing the traditional offerings as you have so seen fit, to honor the past and to pray for our ancestors and to ask for your help. Help us to find our way into this new world and to be in good relationships with all the brothers and all the sisters, all the people of all the colors and traditions. For the good of all, only to glorify you, God. All the glory to you, so may it be. My Lord, I will to be thine always. Om God, I will to be thine always. I may go far, farther than the stars. I may go far, farther than the stars. But I will to be thine always. My Lord, I will to be thine always. Devotees may come, devotees may go. Devotees may come, devotees may go. But I will to be thine always. My Lord, I will to be thine always. When I die, look into my eyes. When I die, look into my eyes. They will merely say, I will to be thine always. My Lord, I will to be thine always. I may go far, farther than the stars. Devotees may come, devotees may go, but I will to be thine always. My Lord, I will to be thine always. When I die, look into my eyes. When I die, look into my eyes. They will merely say, I will to be thine always. My Lord, I will to be thine always. Om God, I will to be thine always. It's Guru.
Namaste.